Welcome to the reading of Turning 25 on my 52nd birthday. This is a story of my life right after my divorce as I grew into a new woman. Please comment any questions on the video below. I'll get back to them as soon as I can. And thank you so much. Please like and subscribe also. Thanks. Time for chapter 21 and 22. It was middle of November, and so far the only scheduled trip was seeing a client in Seattle, but not until the middle of December. She would only be there for 2.5 days, so it would be a quick trip. The office manager at this company was really fun, and they always at least had dinner. In the meantime, she was home. She had probably about 4 weeks to get things caught up at the office. She needed to clean the house. She was having the family over for Thanksgiving. She really loved her house. She loved organizing. She even enjoyed cleaning her house. It was so nice to have her own house. She picked it up. She bought it. She picked it out. She bought it. She makes the payments and makes the decisions. Her days came and went. There were no dates. There was nothing exciting. She went to a wine tasting. One of her favorite wineries was being sold, and the open house was about the meeting the new owner and tasting their vintage from the previous year. Veronica would go out with her sister at least weekly. That was their deal. They needed to make sure that they did not lose track of each other. Even though her sister had a male friend in her life, that meant that they even more so had to keep up with their weekly meetings. She was starting to walk and jog, knowing that she needed to put exercise into her daily routine. She liked being fit. She was jogging. She was jogging a 5K race on Super Bowl Sunday. She wasn't worried about being fast. She just wanted to make it through. She only heard from Rick here and there. He seemed to be pretty busy. She tried not to be a burden. She sometimes wanted to see him, but every time she asked, he was busy. So she knew she would have to wait for him. Thanksgiving came and went, and before she knew it, it was December, and she needed to get ready for the trip to Seattle. There was not too much to prepare for as far as work went. The training was something she had been doing for years. The customer was also someone that she had been working with for a long time, so she knew their business. She still had to be on her toes. She was certain that she would want to look into doing some things slightly differently. It was always fun to implement new changes at existing customer sites, especially customers she liked. She arrived in Seattle on midday. She stopped for lunch before showing up at her customer's place. She ended up at the office right around 1:30. She set her laptop up in the conference room, and she was ready to go ready to go in no time. She spent the remainder of the afternoon providing training to several of the employees. She had three 1-hour training sessions for the salespeople. She was training on some new special features that were created specifically for that company. It was certainly nice to be around some different people, but those people were not exactly people she'd want to go to dinner with or hang out with after work, but they were all certainly pleasant. After work, Veronica went out alone. She would go to dinner with Cynthia, the office manager, tomorrow night. Veronica sat at a table by herself, ordered a salad and margarita. The margarita at the restaurants were wonderful. She ate half her salad and decided to take the other half for lunch the following day. As she was sitting in the restaurant finishing her drink, she suddenly had the urge to cry. And she could already tell it was not going to be just something that would make her teary-eyed. This was starting to feel like it might be one of those uncontrollable cries. She paid the tab and was starting to get anxious about the waitress getting her the receipt quick enough. The feeling was totally overwhelming her. When she received her receipt, she quickly calculated the tip, walked out of the restaurant. The hotel was just across the parking lot, so she proceeded to walk very quickly toward her hotel. She did not think she was going to make it to her room before she was going to really start crying. She had never in her life felt like she could not control her emotions, especially crying. She arrived in her room and the crying started. She wasn't even listening to music to provoke it. It just came out. It was like a flood. She was crying so hard that she was having trouble catching her breath. And with every sob, her thoughts filled with, why can't I have a man to take care of me? Why isn't there someone here to hold me and pick me up to make me realize I can handle this? That was all she really wanted, was someone to pick her up when she needed it. Not always having to hold her up and handle everything. She needed someone to tell her she was good enough. She was strong enough. She's smart enough. And she was sexy enough. And that she was good enough. And that was okay. These thoughts overwhelmed her. How did she let her life go on so long being unhappy with a man that did not make her feel any one of those things? I guess that is a question that may not be answered. Whew. She cried about an hour. Her eyes were swollen and her stomach muscles ached. Sometimes her crying was almost like having an orgasm. She always felt so much better after a good cry. Sometimes she was still slightly sad, but always wondering if she would find that one man that could really take care of her the way she needed. Was that ever going to happen? Was there such a man that could be that for her? She didn't need to be taken care of by any stretch of imagination. She needed to be honestly loved. The next day was fine. It was almost like crying made room in her heart to be happy. It was like this little floodgate. She was happy most of the time, but it seemed as the happiness wasn't as apparent to her, the hour cry would leave room. The hour cry would leave room in her heart to be happy again. Whew. This was also new to Veronica. It was almost like being a teenager again. She arrived at the office at 8 a.m. She started more training sessions at 8:30. Today she needed to review a few things with the managers. It was a good day. Not great, not bad, but good. She was always fine with good. Cynthia and her would go to dinner that night. This is a good thing. Take her mind off being sad. Even though she really wasn't sad, every once in a while her mind would wander to Rick and wonder if they would ever be together again. She knew they would remain friends, but the obsession in her, of course, wanted to have sex with him again. However, the urge was becoming less and less. She would think about giving him a blowjob, and she would smile. Why she smiled, she couldn't quite figure it out, but it did make her smile. He, in general, made her smile. Out of the blue, he texted her. She was beside herself to see his text. He had asked how she was doing, and she responded that she was doing well. She told him a little about her son and his eye doctor appointment. Veronica had texted that she kept revisualizing the time she left work early to take care of his needs. She did not use the word blowjob. She was trying to be somewhat aloof about it, but at the same time let him know that she was still thinking about it. He responded with, that would be so much fun to do again. There was almost no way that was going to happen. They visited a little bit and flirted a little bit. It gave Veronica a little more pep in her step for the rest of the afternoon. Amazing what a little attention does. Dinner tonight would take her mind off of him and off of sex. Sex was constantly on her mind. At least she is still a healthy woman. Wanting to be intimate was kind of a relief. Every once in a while, it would worry her that maybe she chose not to have sex with Jerry because maybe she really was an ice queen. She's obviously not. She very much enjoys being intimate with a man or just plain having fun sexually. Cynthia and Veronica met at the Mexican restaurant down the street from the office. Good food and good drink. Cynthia was always very entertaining. They really talked and laughed well together. She was so much fun and so real. This was truly someone Veronica could probably be friends with outside of work. The night went by fast, and before Veronica knew it, it was the next day, and in just a couple hours she would be heading for the airport to come back home. It was nice to travel, but it was always nice to go home. Chapter 22. It was nice to be home and the holidays coming around. There was much to be thankful for. Her son was getting ready to go into surgery in January. He just discovered that he had a brain tumor and it would be removed in January. The tumor was discovered when she was in Seattle by the eye doctor. It was a bittersweet holiday. It was a blessing that the tumor was discovered, but knowing that he would be having brain surgery that would be 12 hours was tough to digest. This is another story that he should only tell. Veronica's daughter, Nicole, is extremely supportive of everything. She's 26, going on 40. Very mature and very wise. Occasionally she shows her age, and thank God no one should miss their youth. She has been a crucial part in Veronica's journey. She always is there to talk and to bounce the ideas off of. They are discovering their spirituality together. They both are more into a little less conventional beliefs. Nicole is more of an empath. She feels and takes in other people's emotions. It can be very hard on her sometimes. Veronica is more of an intuitive psychic and is just now discovering her talents. Together they go to workshops to learn better ways to meditate and better ways to protect themselves from bad vibes, so to speak. It's great to have a partner on these outings. Both of them do better when they have someone to hang out with. The holidays were wonderful, even with the scary news of Joe's upcoming surgery. Everyone was very positive and having a lot of fun. Veronica's sister brought over a big prime rib. It was a wonderful dinner. There's nothing better than having your family together. Veronica had a trip planned in the beginning of January, but she postponed it because it was the same week as her son's surgery. She knew that in a couple of weeks she would have the owner in the Denver office. She was going to have a status meeting that she was actually running. She was going to be wearing a skirt and jacket, and she knew she was going to be dressed sharp. The next time when she was talking to Rick, she had asked if they could please get together on that Tuesday night. She let him know that this was really important to her, and he agreed. So chapter 21 and 22, she was starting to not really worry about him so much during this month. There was so much taking her mind off of it. You know, her son was diagnosed with a tumor. It was a very large tumor, size of a softball actually, and it was removed. It was removed successfully, and it went well. It explained a lot of his troubles in his youth, but again, that is his story, so that's for him. And my daughter, who I really live with, it's a long story. We ended up sharing the house together, and then we moved into the house we live in now, and it's very separate, but we're both alone, so why not live together? But we have our own privacy. But she's been a big part of this whole time. She's there listening to me, talking to me. She's very, very grown up for her age, for sure. Very mature, and a very good lady. So she's been pretty much my best friend through all of this. But anyway, that night of crying was also very weird. I've never had that happen where I literally was sitting in the office or in that restaurant, and I could not get out of that restaurant fast enough. I did not think I could hold it any longer. So that was quite a strange time too. Anyway, that was chapter 21 and 22.